There we go. Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. My name is Joe Rodola, Rodola. I have a small business. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, Joe Rodola's Debt Consulting. I'm also a small business development center consultant. So again, I'm not going to hide. What I'm doing today, however, and you can get a hold of me in many ways at any of those sites, as well as now on YouTube, because I'm going to create a YouTube how-to video about a passion that I have that I can hopefully pass on to you. Always nice to be able to pass on information that I think would be helpful, especially in the area of weekend, hopefully at least weekend enjoyment, if not a full-time enjoyment situation as well. What I'm talking about, of course, is fishing. It is definitely my passion. I've been fishing, give you a little clue. Been fishing since I was about 4 years old. Picture me catching a bullhead out of San Francisco Bay back in about 1957. Long time ago. And ever since I was a little child, I was literally hooked on fishing. How about that? Not knowing what's on the other end of the line, not knowing what the next bite will be, has always been intriguing to me. My grandfather and my father got me into the sport. Grandfather mostly. And then my dad, of course, got the bug, and I got it big time. Rather than just talk about fishing in general, I'm going to be talking to you about two specific areas of fishing on two specific lakes that I hope will help you catch more fish. The whole idea of this YouTube video is to give you real experience level ideas on how to successfully go out, not spend a bunch of money, and catch, in this case, bass out of two lakes, Shasta Lake and Clear Lake, California. These are, by many standards, two of the best lakes in the United States. Shasta Lake for spotted bass. One of the most prolific lakes for catching spotted bass in the country. And Clear Lake being one of the best bass fishing lakes for what's called the Florida strain largemouth, which were planted there many years ago, have proliferated in the green waters of Clear Lake. Sometimes it's clear, but very rare. And I used to live there. So I'm going to be passing on that information to you in these how-to videos when I set up this YouTube channel, okay? And again, I have fished professionally, semi-professionally in the past, team tournaments mostly, with a good friend of mine, Andy Heathman, who is no longer with us. Great guy, great avid fisherman. We had a ball together fishing back in the 80s and early 90s until he left to go back east. And we paid some money, we made a couple of bucks, but it's one of those things that really is a recreational outlet. Technically for me, after we stopped paying money, of course, I continue to fish and have a good time. In the last 40 years, I've taught over 40 or 45 people, somewhere in that range, and have helped them catch their first fish, mostly off of my boat. You see, I'm wearing a Ranger bass boat hat. I've been a Ranger bass boat owner since 1984. A Ranger came out in the 70s to help with the infant professional bass fishing pro tours that came out back in the 70s, where they started actually having entry fees to join a tournament, catch the fish, weigh them in, And then you have, the top 10, 15, 20 places get cash payouts. So Ranger Bass Boat came on board at that time, made a boat that was specific for fishing on lakes with high seats, platforms to stand on, electric trolling motors, and as time has passed, very fast, mostly outboard engines on these small boats. So anyway, I'm going to help you catch as many fish as you possibly can. This is obviously one man's idea. There are lots of ways to catch fish. The pros are going to give you all sorts of ideas. And I'm not going specifically for quality of size, okay? I am going for quantity. I don't particularly like going out and fishing. I like to go out and do some catching. I don't know about you, but that's the thing. I want to feel that tug on the end of the line. And I'm going to give you, again, my clues at both those lakes. And these clues, really, for the most part, can be used in any of the other lakes in Northern California that I fished. Whether it's Amador, Almanor, Trinity, Berryessa, Oroville, it goes on and on, okay? Lake Mendocino, small lakes, big lakes. And in fact, the reason I got hooked on bass fishing, specifically in freshwater, after I started out in salt in the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, was I went to a farm pond back in the early 70s. We had a friend that had a farm, had a pond on it. We went over for dinner, had a barbecue. He said, "Hey, you like to fish?" I said, "Sure." Gave me a couple of rods, a popping lure, saying, "Oh, yeah, just walk down there and throw it out there, pop it along the surface and see what happens." Well, I caught 2 bass that evening, watching the lure go under in the mouth of a largemouth bass. And I'll tell you what, that's pretty darn exciting, I'll tell you that. So from then on, excuse me, I was in there. I assisted in starting 2 bass clubs, Clearlake Bass Anglers and the Mendo Bassers, one in Lake County, one in Mendocino County. I was a charter member for both, helped with the writing of the bylaws, and was, president, vice president, secretary, treasurer of those 2 clubs back in the 70s, late 70s, all the way through the 80s. And so, I've been doing this for quite a while. I'm going to, again, pass on this information to you. And it's going to be on a budget, okay? You don't need a boat. Nice if you have one. Don't get me wrong. Excuse me. Always nice to have a boat. But Shasta and Clear Lake both, you can catch fish off the shore. It can be done, okay? And again, I'll give you those reasonably priced ideas. You don't have to buy 25, 30 rods. You don't have to buy 25, 30 different pound test lines. I mean, if you were a pro, yeah, you would have that. These professional fishermen these days carry 20 rods on a boat, and each one has a specific duty, right? One you throw, you use what's called a spinner bait. One you can use for top water. One you can use for split shotting. One you can use for worms. One you can use for jigs. One you can use for these large baits they call swim baits. Swim baits have been very effective for large fish on Clear Lake over the last 10 years. But I'm just talking about going out there, taking a rod, nice lure that you can count on, throw it out there and catch fish, okay? Catch fish. My largest bass out of Clear Lake in the last 30 years of fishing that particular body of water, just shy of 9 pounds, okay? It was 8.91 pounds on the little store scale back in Kelseyville after I caught her late spring a while back. I've also got an 8-pounder out of Lost Creek Lake in Oregon. I've got several 7s out of Clear Lake. So, lots of 6s, a whole bunch of 5s out of Clear Lake as well. My largest bass out of Shasta is 5 1/4 pounds. it was a spot hybrid. So in other words, it was a spotted bass that it appeared that had, over the years, mated with largemouth. Largemouth used to be in there. Now it's mostly smallmouth and spotted bass at Shasta. But suffice it to say, a 5 1/4 pound spot cross, whew, dude, I'll tell you, that thing will pull you down. All right. So we'll go over that as well. And hopefully it'll give you, the opportunity to go out and catch some fish, right? And what I use this obviously for is to go out there and forget everything else that's going on. You can forget about the world. You can forget about the problems that you have. Forget about work. You go out there, concentrate on catching those little green guys. And the cool thing is, normally you catch these fish, you can look at them, take a picture, be happy, as Jimmy Houston would do on TV, give them a kiss and let them go. So that's what I'm going to be doing for you. I'll try to set this up shortly, get this YouTube account open, and then I'll be giving you, in the next videos, step-by-step ideas so that you can go out and have some fun catching those little green bass. Have a great day. See you soon.